Hello friends, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. The topic for today is we are drowning in information but starved for knowledge. As always, I have a personal request friends. My third edition of my books Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has unfortunately been pirated. Original copies can be bought from the link or from the QR code shown here. I urge all of you to buy original and stop piracy. Friends, as always, this topic also should be conceptualized as being made of various components and subcomponents. First, we would introduce the topic, then we would dwell upon the essence of the topic, then we would elaborate as to why there is information overload, then we would elaborate as to why knowledge is scarce, then we will explain as to when will information turn into knowledge, then we would conclude. Friends, I think the best way to start this essay is by referring to our mobile phone. Friends, all of us, when we let us just open our cell phones and see, especially the gallery. So there are so many photos available. We just because it has become easier to click pictures, and just because we can click multiple pictures to suit how good we look in the photo, so we keep on clicking pictures, and finally day after day, tens, hundreds of pictures get added to the gallery, but towards the end, once you have to change the mobile or once your mobile runs out of the necessary storage, you cannot even sort it out. The number of photos would have become so large and you would not be in a position to sort them out. Most of the times, most of the photos would also get erased. This is a common experience which most of us have experienced. Correct? So this is akin to the information that is surrounding us also. So there is so much information, but at the end of the day, the information is so voluminous, so huge that we would not be able to make any sense out of it. It would not be helping us much. Correct? So if we were to if we were to spot some photos that are important to preserve our memories, if there are some photos that act as evidence to prove our point at some point of time, if there are some photos which would help us correct our mistakes, then or if there are some photos which would help us explain something to someone else, then all these photos would just get lost in that voluminous number of pictures that are just clicked for the sake of clicking it. Correct? So similarly, the information available is also so voluminous that we would not be able to pick the relevant sense out of the information that is very profusely spread across. Correct? So thus we are drowning in information but we are starved for knowledge, just as our galleries are flooded with all kind of pictures, but we are starved for important pictures that define our memory, important pictures that act as support to prove our point at some point of time. Okay, so let's continue. After introducing the topic, it is time for us to deliberate upon the essence of the topic. So the key terms of the topic are information and knowledge. Correct? So then what is information? Information is mere collection of facts or observations. So it is a mere bunch of facts, nothing beyond that actually. So to give you an example, if let us say there is a supermarket, in that supermarket or departmental store, whatever, the list of the transactions done per day, done in a particular day, is what constitutes information. Or the number of, let us take a movie theater, the number of persons, the number of tickets sold per show for all the shows of a particular month is what constitutes information, because it is collection of facts or collection of observations. So thus information is nothing beyond this. Then what is knowledge? Knowledge is something beyond information. So if the collection of facts give rise to some interpretation. If the collection of observations give rise to some application, then such collection of facts and observations become knowledge. Okay, let us apply the same logic to our previously explained examples only. So with regard to the supermarket example, if the list of the number of transactions per day constitutes information, inferences like a particular product is getting sold more than other products, or a combination of products are getting sold, like perhaps like in most of the transactions of the day, let us say in some 82% of the transactions per day of the particular day, like both product A and product B are bought by the customers. So these kind of inferences that we draw is what constitutes knowledge. So similarly, coming to the movie example, that shows of a particular time on a particular day or drawing or drawing less crowd. A particular show on a particular day is drawing more crowd. Okay, so this inference is what makes information knowledge. Correct? If we are able to draw proper inferences from the information, then we have created knowledge, and that would help us. That would help us tweak our business, tweak our decision, tweak our functioning in such a way that it becomes more profitable. Maybe a movie theater owner, after finding out this, would incentivize a particular show, by giving some discount, some offer, so that the footfall for that particular show also improves. Or alternately, he may think of increasing the price of the tickets of a particular show where there is more footfall, so that he can compensate for the loss of shows on a particular day where or a particular show which draws less crowd. So thus it is information. If it is mere collection of facts and observations, the knowledge essentially is collection of facts and inferences plus interpretation and application. Correct? Hope I have made sense. Correct? So from this explanation, you would very well concur with me that information is subset of knowledge. Correct? So information is subset of knowledge. So information plus application, information plus interpretation is what gives us knowledge. Okay, in other words, all knowledge is derived from information and interpretation, but all information is not knowledge. If it is mere collection of information, it is not knowledge. Correct? So similarly, coming back to our initial example of photo of gallery in our mobile phones, mere collection of photographs would not make any sense. It would just say your mobile has 1083 photos. That's it. But if you are able to put the relevant photos like family photos into a particular folder, college photos with college friends in a particular folder, or photos pertaining to your travel in a particular folder, then it slowly that mere collection of photographs would start making some sense. So once you categorize those things, then you should also have to weed out the unnecessary photos. Perhaps clicking 10 pictures of the same occasion would not serve any purpose. So if you are able to delete some 8 pictures and keep only 2 pictures which are relevant, then your gallery would start making some sense. So if the unsegregated unsegregated collection of all the pictures is what constitutes information, segregation of the pictures into various folders by weeding out all unnecessary clicks is what constitutes knowledge. Okay, so thus knowledge is derived from information, just as these folders, these photos are derived from that gallery. However, information is not knowledge. Okay, then setting the tone for essay. See, this essay essentially is arguing that there is so much of information. That means wherever you go, you find information, but you hardly find knowledge from that information. This is akin to the famous English adage that says, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. So this essay seeks to explore if there is really information overload, if there is really scarcity of knowledge, and seeks to address the issues arising out of such overload of information and scarcity of knowledge. Friends, after deliberating upon the essence of the topic, it is time we have at least understood that there is so much of information but very less of knowledge. Okay, so logically the next argument or the next explanation should be the reasons for such information overload. The first and foremost reason is information technology. See, IT has made it so easy to gather information and store information. Correct. So, and IT has gone one step ahead and made it easy to gather information from multiple sources also. And it has made easy to gather and store information. Earlier, when some information had to be stored, it had to be written, or it had to be typed, it had to be printed. So multiple copies of typing also was not possible. So even if some information is gathered, it had to be stored in big racks, shelves. Correct. There used to be huge record rooms. Correct. So that's how the world used to be. So it was very difficult to gather, store information. But now what is the scenario? So it is so easy. So just having a mobile phone would, we would be able to. So IT has made it so easier that information can be gathered and stored very simply. So now we can have a small chip that can store hundreds of GBs and TBs of data. Correct. And the gathering of information from multiple sources also has become easy. Earlier, let us say a social science researcher, in order to study the behavior of different individuals across different cities, he had to personally go to the cities, meet people, put up questionnaire, seek the responses, etc. And those people also had to take that and write the responses, post it, or whatever. It was so difficult. But now you can just generate one survey questionnaire on surveymonkey.com or even on Google survey, and then finally you can share the link across, so you can get responses from across the world, from North Pole to South Pole. You will be able to gather information. Also, all human activities these days are getting in one way or the other anchored onto information technology or mobile phones. Correct. So this has made it even easier to gather information. Just the way human functions without the knowledge of humans is coming under some surveillance, coming under some data gathering tool, etc. So I'll just explain you how. Earlier, if a person had to book a ticket, had to travel, he had to personally go, stand in the queue, buy a ticket and travel. So it was very difficult for any researcher, for anybody to study the travel patterns of the individuals. Correct. So but now what has happened? So the tickets are booked online. More so, tickets are booked online using a particular email ID, and the data gets stored. So this particular email ID, this fellow has booked so many abroad tickets, so many tickets to a particular destination. Correct. See, here the individual, without his own knowledge, he is actually throwing up some information. without his knowledge, information about his travel is getting stored somewhere. So thus the IT has made it, the life has become so attached to IT that without the knowledge the information has just expanded crazily. So similarly, the same person, he would be using the same email ID to book, to shop something. So then again, a person, whoever is visiting a particular place, might be shopping a few things before his travel. Even that is getting recorded. You will be able to draw some correlation between the two. So that's how even the small, the normal acts of human beings, which were earlier did not generate any information, are easily generating information these days. It has become so easy. And the second thing is, it is just continuation of the first point. So expanse of information collection points. See, as I told you, mobile phone is one such information collection points. Similarly, CC cameras. Correct. Now there are CC cameras everywhere. You just go out, every street has CC camera, every traffic junction has CC camera, every shopping mall, every shop, everywhere, park, everywhere there are CC cameras in the guise of security, surveillance, etc., etc. So that CC camera also is picking up lot of points. Correct. So wherever you go, the information collection points has become so huge, so numerous. So people are now on social media. Social media also gives so much information. So everywhere there is information. So information collection points. So it is easy to collect information. So there is information overload. Earlier, gathering one piece of information was difficult. Today, gathering some 1,000 bits of information is just like slit of a hand. Correct? So then, ease of dissemination. See, earlier gathering of information was difficult. Similarly, dissemination of information also was difficult. Let us say some researcher, even with his hard efforts, attempted he visited multiple places to study a particular behavioral aspect of a particular population or something, or let us say a researcher has visited many pregnant women to understand their psychological status and to come up with a solution that doing meditation would actually reduces their stress and improves their reproductive health, something like that. This is just a hypothetical thing. Earlier, to do that, he had to visit so many places and it was difficult. That I have already explained. So once that research inference he's found, he has found a solution that it is meditation that would help them improve their reproductive health. He had to, sending that information across the people also was difficult. But today, you just put the study on some social media. If it becomes viral, people keep sending it, sharing it across WhatsApp groups. People keep sharing it in Instagrams, Facebooks, etc., etc. Suddenly that information dissemination increases. Now you may ask, sir, this is how information dissemination is adding to information overload. The logic is simple, boss. Information dissemination creates more information. Correct. So let us say a particular post is the particular article is posted somewhere. Somebody would write some comment. Somebody would say that this is not right. This is not based on any scientific evidence. Or somebody would try to bring some other research, connected research, and try to put it in the comment section. That thus information generates information. Exponentially the information expands. Correct. So then low cost. See, now it is very easy to gather information and spread information. Correct. You need not have to do much effort. So as I already told you, everyone has mobile phone. You need not have to cajole anybody to buy a mobile phone to gather some information, right? So the lifestyle of the public has changed so much that it is very easy to gather information. It is cheap also. For me, just I get some theory research question, I can just create one survey and then send it across. I'll get responses. I needn't have to spend even a single penny on that. So there is information overload. Then lack of checks to prevent propagation of false information. Now it has become so easy to throw some fact and claim it to be true that everybody would accept. Correct. So there are no checks in our systems to first verify the authenticity of the information and then only spread it. Correct. So some miscreants would start putting some nonsense post somewhere. So people would keep sharing, believing it to be true. As we are all aware, on WhatsApp we receive so many messages about some health benefits of some particular plant, some particular drug, etc., particular activity. We none of us know whether it is true or false. So there is no check to prevent unauthentic information. If there were to be some check, then at least that unauthentic information gets weeded out, so the information overload gets reduced. Now there is no check, so information, unauthentic information, authentic information, everything would go on and on and on. Lastly, no disincentive for creating unauthentic information. Correct. So that means if somebody is sharing some false news, he will not be penalized. Sometimes you don't even get to know who is the originator for that false information that created chaos in the society. We don't even know. So thus there is no disincentive. So all these factors lead to information overload. Friends, now we have understood the reasons for the information overload. So, logically, if there is more information, there should be more knowledge also. At least if there is 100 GB of information, let us say there is only 1 GB of knowledge. I am just giving some hypothetical example. If there is 1000 GB of information, there should be some 10 GB of knowledge at least. No, but it is not so. Knowledge is scarce. Why is that? Because while it is cheap to gather information, it is very expensive to draw inferences out of it. Correct? Of course, such information is already the best example is it is very easy to gather the information and store in some Excel. Correct? But for you to draw some inference from out of that information, you need advanced data analytical tools. Those data analytical tools are expensive. So thus, while the gathering of information would be very easy, developing a decision support system or management information system, so that MIS, DSS is very difficult. So correct, it's very expensive. So there is it's a classic case wherein it is easy to gather information but difficult to draw inferences. So that would lead to a scenario where there is so much information but there is very less knowledge. Then hard to establish the authenticity of the information to draw knowledge from it. See, I have told you, drawing in knowledge is at the end of the day is interpretation of information or drawing inferences from the information. Correct. So when will the knowledge while information can be unauthentic, knowledge cannot be unauthentic. Knowledge has to be true. Correct. So now when there is so much information overload, you would not be in a position to say whether this information available with you is a true information or not. Then if that information itself, if you are not sure of it, then do you really have guts to draw knowledge from it or to interpret it? Definitely no. So the best example is, let us say a researcher has outsourced this survey work to a particular person or an agency. That particular person is supposed to meet some 10,000 persons and get the questionnaires filled, etc., etc. But once that information is presented before him, this doubt crops up in his mind whether this fellow has really met the individuals whom I guided, or whether it is all filled by a few individuals. Correct? It is very, very likely. So this actually reminds me of this movie Padman. If you remember, in the movie Padman, when I think, see, this is exactly the story of Arunachalam Muruganathan, but I don't know if it is really featured in the movie or not. See, the after inventing this sanitary pad, the Arunachalam Muruganathan wanted to first seek the feedback of this medical college students. So he prepared a rudimentary questionnaire and then he shared it with them. But when he went to collect the information, in a hurry, everybody started filling it before him only. So which meant that they were not applying their mind to fill the questionnaire. So thus it is very difficult to establish the authenticity of the information. So if the information itself is unauthentic, if the foundation itself is not proper, then how can you expect a superstructure to stand on it? Correct? So thus it is a very difficult proposition. Next comes misinformation neutralizes the potential of authentic information to draw knowledge from it. I already told you there is one way establishing the authenticity is difficult. Another way, it is easy to create misinformation. When there is so much misinformation, then actually that misinformation counters the authentic information before us. So in this fight between misinformation and information, most of the time nobody can draw any knowledge or inference from either misinformation nor information, because you don't know what is right, what is wrong. Correct? So then, of course, knowledge is not obvious. What do you mean by that? See, knowledge is not obvious, so it means you have to dig deeper, contemplate, think. You have to put extra efforts for that. That can be done only if you have a passion for that knowledge. It does not happen. Gathering information is easy, but when you keep on thinking, when you keep on contemplating, then only knowledge comes out. Knowledge is not obvious. Knowledge is undercurrent mostly. So you should have the patience, you should have the dedication, you should have the commitment to weed out the unauthentic thing and to come up with something very really true. So thus, since this non-obvious nature of the knowledge also makes it difficult to come up with more knowledge. So these are some of the factors that has made the knowledge really scarce, while the information information very expansive. Then, as I have already told you, knowledge, once we have argued that there is huge information overload and there is very scarce knowledge, it is important for us also to pause for a moment and think whether it is really true. Of course, to some extent it is true, but however, this is a process of evolution. In the process of evolution, the ultimate objective, the ultimate destination is to have perfect knowledge. With this ultimate knowledge only the information technology was developed. So but initially first it starts expanding with unnecessary, unwarranted every information. Over a period of time, with experience, people who are gathering the information would be able to know what information to gather, what information not to gather. Then they would also get to know what is an unintended information or untrue information. So this experience would make them tweak their information collection slowly, and finally they would zero upon the sources which give them authentic information. So by experience, the information slowly becomes more and more relevant, more and more apt, and finally it leads to knowledge. Correct? So thus it's an evolution. Perhaps we are still in the middle of that evolutionary cycle. Perhaps we all started in that nascent stage where information overload started, but later slowly the same information technology that led to information overload has matured enough, has graduated enough to come up to a stage where it is now in a position to to itself draw inferences, interpretation out of it through this artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other IT tools. Correct? So maybe going down, perhaps in future, the information technology would become so smart that it would only weed out the unauthentic information. It would only pick the authentic information, or it would simultaneously draw inferences and interpretations alongside information gathering, which is very, very likely. So this is an evolutionary process. Maybe now we are drowning in information, but the starved for knowledge. But there was a time in the past there was absolutely no knowledge. There was only information. Correct. The quantum of knowledge was even more minuscule. See, imagine the days of the days where there was no MIS, there was no DSS, MIS, management information system, decision support systems, artificial intelligence. But slowly these tools have come up. That means that the quantum of knowledge is slowly ballooning. I'm consciously taking the word. While the information overload is slowly dwindling. So it's over a period of time there would be a right balance. So thus I have told you that we are in that stage where information is slowly becoming knowledge. That means then when will an information becomes knowledge? Information becomes knowledge when it is able to draw inference. Correct? Information becomes knowledge when it is able to predict future. So what is predicting future? See, why are we gathering so much information? Because we want to come up with generalized patterns that would help us predict the future of an individual, future of a market, future of an organization aptly. That would help us tweak our functioning in order to be prepared for any upcoming eventuality. This is the whole concept of for modeling that happens in scenario modeling, that is mostly in vogue. Correct? So let us take an investment banker. Investment banker would be gathering so much information about market behavior. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to predict how would market function in future, which fund will perform better, which company will perform better, which company will incur losses. So how would the mood and sentiments of the general investors? So with that that piece of information, he would decide where to put his where to invest his fund, in which sector, in which company, so that the subscribers to his fund would not incur losses. Correct? Similarly, to thwart danger. So the best example is the disaster management. So when you have understood, I'll just give you an example of something happened in government. It has really happened. So in a particular pilgrim place where there used to be stampede always. Some intellectual came up and he came up with the study that in the stampede, people traveling from a particular region only are dying, or a place where people from a particular region arriving from a particular region where the chances of stampede was high. This was actually studied, and after observing that, okay, I'll make it more specific for you to understand. See, this is about a Pushkar Ghat. This is about that river festival, whatever happens, So there are multiple ghats, okay. Stampede used to happen at a particular ghat. Going deeper, it was found that in that ghat, pilgrims mostly come from a particular region. So then it was realized that maybe intrinsically or whatever, the people belonging to that region, maybe they are more anxious, may be less patient, so leading to this stampede. So understanding that that particular ghat was designed in such a way that it was made broad, It was actually, so more parking space was created, more policemen were deployed. So a lot of steps were taken in order to reduce the possibility of stampede. So correct. So that is happened only after that knowledge was obtained. So information becomes knowledge when it is able to thwart danger. Information becomes knowledge when it empowers the weak. So the best example is Dadabhai Nauroji's study of drain of wealth. It empowered Indian intellectuals to question the British government in India. So if not for that, Indians would not have had any sound argument to place before British. Perhaps British would have come up with something saying that their governance is beneficial and boon to India. Correct. So, but this study, this knowledge helped weak, that is Indians, empowered them. Finally, they could launch a freedom struggle. Next, information becomes knowledge when it is a solution provider. So, that the examples that I have already given you would fit into this also. So, after all these discussions, now it is time for conclusion. Friends, from the above discussions, we can safely conclude that it is true that there is so much information overload but very scarce knowledge. However, the absence of information would not lead to any knowledge. But if there is information overload, if the individuals are conscious of the adverse effects and pitfalls of this information overload, if they develop the sense of what is right, what is wrong, what is right information, what is misinformation, then with this coupled with the information overload, this sense would enable individuals to slowly weed out unnecessary things and come up with knowledge. So the information technology that itself that actually has led to the information overload has actually is throwing up the solution for this problem in terms of AI, machine learning and other IT tools. So correct. So thus, though information overload is problematic for knowledge creation, but lack of information would totally rule out the probability of knowledge creation. So information overload may lead to some amount of knowledge, but lack of information would lead to no knowledge. Correct. So that's how I think we can conclude, friends. So thank you, all the best. We'll see you in the next week with another topic.